On the post game podcast, I'm your host, June. I got my boy B Foster. And finally, that was a grueling season. My God, the season is over. I never thought I would say this, but thank God the season is over.
Hey, we had to take a little break, at the end of the season. Like, nah, we just gotta let the rest of this season ride out, man. I don't even want to touch it.
Hey, it's been rough. We hung in there the whole season. It was a lot of bad, a lot of ugly, a little bit of good here and there. But as fans, as a true Piston fan, that was grueling. It was tough to watch, even though we remain optimistic no matter what. We still were watching the games, hoping to see a sign, to see something change, to see something different, to see a run or a streak. It just never happened. I think the biggest win streak was 2 games, and that happened like twice throughout the season. That's bad. That's bad. I don't know, Foster. I mean, I guess we can dive into this because I guess we have to look forward to the off season. That's all we can do. This season was horrible. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It's a bad season. I have a Pistons varsity jacket. I wore it once during this season.
Wow.
The whole winter, the whole fall, I've worn it once. And I didn't have any plans to go anywhere in it. Like I didn't go to a battle rap. I didn't go to no events, nothing like that where people I know. I just wore it one time to go to the store. That's it. I mean, that's how shameful I was. I didn't want to say, man, you still supporting the Pistons? Yes, I'm still supporting the Pistons, but I just couldn't rock it, man. I couldn't rock the jacket this year.
I feel that.
I mean, I feel guilty about it, but man, I need a better product on the floor, man. I'm sorry. I need better results. If I'm gonna rock your gear, if I'm gonna rock, and that's just sports in general. I don't care if I like your colors. If you're not doing anything, I just can't wear it. You know what I'm saying? Can't wear it. I mean, there's only two teams that I won't wear. Right? That's Ohio State gear and Lakers gear. Never will wear that. Never. I'll wear everything else. I'm a diehard Michigan fan, but I support Michigan State as well when they're not playing us and they're playing everybody else. I'll wear Michigan State colors. I'll wear Michigan State hat, jersey, hoodie. I would not wear Lakers stuff. I would not wear Ohio State stuff. Never.
Yeah, that would look crazy.
Yeah, that's just, especially the Lakers stuff. I probably wear Ohio State thing before I wear a Lakers. That's
what? Wow.
It's bad. It's bad, bro. I got it bad. Something about that Lakers team. And it just got like that. It just got like that recently. I wasn't like that when Kobe and Shaq was there. Pardon me. But recently, yes. I think LeBron went there, and I was like, yeah.
I mean, I figured that's what it was.
LeBron is from Akron, Ohio, and it's just something about Ohio. He played for Cleveland, this, that, and other. I can't cheer for him.
We never gonna have no supporters from Ohio, that's for sure.
Well, they're not gonna get a support out of me. Anyway, back to
Yeah, we got off.
we got off on the I cheer for the Browns though. I want to see them do better. I want to see the Browns, but the Guardians and Cavaliers. Oh no, no. Anyway, Ross, we got a little bit to cover. We haven't done a show in a couple weeks. We wanted the season to end, and we were supposed to do a show Thursday. Things ran over. It wasn't that we were hesitant to do a show; it's just things were out of whack for Thursday. So we're here today to do a season finale. And Foster, you comprise the list that we can talk about. So we'll just start at the top of the list. One of the things you have written down here are player breakdowns. Now,
Yeah.
I haven't given this much thought, so I'm gonna just let you go with it. What you have, or you can bring up a player, however you want to do it. So,
All right, so I made a list. Obviously, the Pistons had a ton of guys on the roster that played this year. I comprised a list of 9 main guys that we can kind of talk about, that we can just basically break down how we felt they played this year.
mhm.
You know, maybe even talk about a little bit as far as the future. Do we see them see them as being part of our future plans or trade bait or whatever the case may be? So I'm gonna start it off with Jaden Ivey. And we can kind of interchange as far as, we'll both get an opportunity to, say what we need to say. But as far as Jaden Ivey, the one thing that I have, obviously he started off the year kind of on the wrong foot with Monty Williams for whatever reason. I'm not sure. I don't think we really know exactly what it was outside of maybe defensive effort or whatever the case may be. So, but Ivy started the first, I don't know, couple of weeks off the bench. But the main thing that I got out of it was inconsistency. I feel that, this being the first year where he got to play some significant time alongside Cade, I feel like the fit just was not there for whatever reason. I think that he was, I think that the defensive effort did improve, but I think that he didn't take care of the ball very well. And I don't think he shot very consistently from the outside. Even when the ball was in his hands and Cade was not around, I don't think he was even consistent in that regards. I want to say his points per game average was about the same, around 15, 16 points a game. But as far as the efficiency and him working alongside Cade Cunningham, I was not impressed. And, all things considered, I feel like if it came down to it and there was some changes to be made within like big changes to be made amongst our roster, I could see him being utilized as trade bait. But do you have any other thoughts as far as Ivy is concerned?
Well, first of all, I just want, if people are out there listening, watching, that me and Foster are usually pretty right when it comes to what's going to happen to the roster. Like, we've had predictions about, we'll go far as back, said Marvin Bagley, this is a make or break year for him. And the first half of the season was going to tell the tale, and he was out of here. We did the same for Killian. So we've been pretty spot on with the expectations of the team roster going forward. As far as Ivy is concerned, you hit the nail right on the head as far as consistency. He is not consistent. And I thought it had a lot to do with being in the lineup with Cade, but he played some with Cade, and I saw those same inconsistencies, the same carelessness with the ball. I just didn't see enough. Like there'll be some games here and there where he looks like the player that we wanted to see when we drafted him. And then there's other times where it's like, what is he doing? Like he couldn't hit the side of a barn some days, so I that's about all I have to say about Ivy is just tremendous talent, but very, very inconsistent.
Absolutely. The next player we're going to talk about is Cade Cunningham. This was a relatively healthy year for him. Obviously, he missed most of last year. He did have some health management games where I don't think he was super injured. I think he had one stretch where he injured his leg, and people were kind of like, "Oh God, he just had surgery. Like, what's going on?" But
Mhm.
overall, I think he did a pretty good job this year, all things considering, with just the lack of consistency around him as far as the roster makeup and everything. I think he had a pretty good year. I mean, when you put his numbers all together next to a lot of these other young players, he still fills up the stat sheet. He had 22 points a game, 4 rebounds, 7.5 assists, which was, I think they said it was like top 10 as far as assists per game. I can't remember exactly what it was. You would like to see him shoot a little bit more efficiently from the field. He shot 44% from the field and 31% from three. So he's a guy that's going to probably eventually get that rookie max. And yeah, I mean, I don't see them doing anything with him extraordinary. I think that he's going to continue to be the main facilitator, and as you can see, he doesn't shoot great from beyond the arc. So I think that's going to be the best spot for him. And yeah, we're going to have to work. The GM's going to have to work really hard to surround him with consistent talent and figure out what they want to do with Ivy. Do they really see him? Do they really see that fit? Do they really see a fit next to these guys? Because I don't think you can go another full year trying to figure out it's like I feel like they got to make some drastic decisions this year as far as surrounding him with talent. Um, but yeah, I think Cade's tired of losing. He seemed very dejected early on during um, that losing streak, and we just cannot go into the next year wondering, do have we done our due diligence to surround our star? But yeah,
Well, as far as Cade is concerned, in my opinion, it's totally opposite as far as Ivy's situation and my thoughts. Uh, I thought he was very dependable when he was in the lineup. You'd have a game every now and then, points wise, where he'd have a dud, and that's to be expected. But pretty much, he was pretty consistent. You were going to get what you were going to get out of Cade. What he showed you on a good night, he showed you regularly. Not saying he was perfect. One of the things I learned about Cade, we had a good enough sample size this year that he knows. Well, we know his sweet spot. That's the elbow. He gets to the elbow, he's knocking it down. We also learned that he doesn't get a lot of calls going his way when he's going to the basket. But it hasn't stopped him from attacking the basket, which is good. I think in time he'll get those respectable calls, because he doesn't get to the free throw line a lot. It's crazy. As much as he gets knocked to the ground and fouled, and that he doesn't get a lot of free throw attempts. It's just crazy. But we understand his tendencies. We seen he's given a full effort, and when he's hot, he's hot. He's making them from everywhere. And we see that he got better near the end of the year, but he was turning the ball over at a high clip in the beginning of the year. But he uh Not saying that I'm perfectly happy with his turnovers improving, but they did get better. He wasn't as bad as he was before. So as far as Cade concerned, we know we got what we were getting out of Cade. He was pretty consistent. We need to build around Cade. We need to make it easier for Cade for some. I mean, if at all possible. But no, definitely needs to. He needs some help. Definitely needs help.
Absolutely. So the next guy we're going to talk about is Jalen Duren. Um,
Hmm.
it's a mixed bag with Duren. He's obviously a very young, talented, physically gifted young center. He as far as his rebounding is concerned, second to none.
Right.
He gets the job done as far as that's concerned. I was very disappointed in his defense this year,
Oh boy.
even more so than I can remember last year. Like, yeah, I don't know. For some reason, it was just much more glaring to me how poor he is at protecting the rim. And it just goes to show that just because you can jump really high and you're really big, that doesn't make you a good shot blocker. Um,
I made the mistake of assuming he would be a good shot blocker because of that.
Yes. And maybe down the line things improve and he gets better at it. But as of right now, he was a liability down there. But yeah, the other thing is that he definitely had a limited bag offensively. He's pretty much, if he's not dunking the basketball, he's probably not scoring it. I saw them play around with the idea of him bringing the ball up, and um, maybe he comes back into camp next year with a little bit more to show us offensively, but pretty limited thus far. And yeah, he definitely has some glaring weaknesses that he can try to improve on going into next year.
Okay. Yeah. Let's take a quick break, Foster, and we'll come back and I'll give my comment. Well, let me give my comments on Duran first. That's
Okay.
what I you took the words right out of my mouth. As far as a defensive liability, I was the first one to assume he would be able to be a good defender because he was athletic and strong, and being 7 foot, long arms. I just figured, hey, but I saw often too many times where guards were scoring over him, going to the rim, let alone a big man. And when he had big men that were active fives, when he faced active fives, they pretty much did what they wanted in the post. It was like he didn't kind of it it was like it was outrageous. It was outrageous. I mean, shouldn't be that bad of a liability on defense. Young talent though, uh, had some injury concerns. He's another person that I think needs some help down in the paint. Another enforcer, um, where maybe he can be good on the help side defense, but his rebounding phenomenal. Won't You know what I'm saying? Won't complain about his rebounding at all. Uh, need to work on his offensive game some. And defense is a mentality, and it's more effort than anything. So if
And just
you're
positioning too. I mean, just
positioning as well,
knowing. Yeah.
positioning as well. Anticipation is another thing. But at the same time, it's more effort than anything, and you'll get better. And when I say effort, that's watching film, that's moving your feet, that's communicating, that's uh,
Knowing
and
your
then
reads or
no,
whatever.
and then you can force a player, like you can force a player a different direction where they want to go. It's a lot that goes into it, but Darren is one of those pieces that I hope stays. and I hope he improves. But this year just wasn't it for me as far as him. We could we got to do better. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll finish these players. Okay, so who's the next player you got, Foster?
I got Isaiah Stewart next.
Oh boy.
Do you want to lead on any of, or do you
No,
want me
I
to
do not.
start with my? Okay, no, okay.
I do not.
I
You're
yeah,
fine.
I don't want to steal too much of your thunder.
No, no, there's no thunder. The thing is, when you mention someone, it's like, no wonder we were 14 and 68. But go ahead.
You know, I I'm very I got a lot of clarity on Isaiah Stewart this year. He wasn't amazing. He missed a good tail end of the season with injuries, which is starting to worry me because the same thing happened last year. But Isaiah Stewart is who he is. I am very impressed with his improvements to his outside shooting. He shot 38% from three this past year, which is great. I mean, it's pretty much what we asked of him. If there was one thing that we asked of Isaiah Stewart was to improve his outside shooting so he can play alongside Duran, and he did that. What we kind of learned early on is that he is limited offensively. He's not, he's about 6'6", 6'7", and he's not. If he's not making outside shots or the occasional putback layup, there's not much that he can provide to you because he doesn't jump very high. He has a little bit of ability to attack off the dribble if they show too much on his outside shot, but he's just not a starting power forward is what it comes down to. Maybe a backup. I mean, he's definitely caliber backup power forward, maybe a backup center, but he's not gonna he hasn't scored over 20 points in like well over a year. So, in a role where he's coming off the bench, giving you the energy, bringing the toughness, and some outside shooting, I think he can excel. We already paid him this past summer. We decided that he was, going to be a part of our future, and so we're doing him a disservice to not bring somebody in at the starting spot at the power forward next year. So that's one thing that is going to be essential for the front office to do, is to establish who can really be a starting power forward. I don't think he's untouchable. I don't think Duran is untouchable if the right player came across our desk. And teams have shown interest in Stewart going back to his rookie year. So, would I be disappointed if we traded him? A little bit, but for the right guy, I almost want to see what Stewart can do somewhere else in an appropriate role. But yeah, I commend him for improving his outside shooting, because I remember, I think it was you that you were like, I don't like Stewart shooting the three. I don't believe in it, yada, 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 because he showed some potential early on. But 38% from three on a decent volume, I'm not mad at that. That's probably best on the team outside of Fontecchio. We'll get to him soon, but I think 38% from three is it's better than Ivy. It's better than Grimes. It's up there with Sasser, though. So, hey, salute to him for that.
Mr. Stewart. I I have reservations about Mr. Stewart, and I think it has not too much with I might be unfair with this. And that doesn't have a lot to do with his ability. Is I want to know what did management see to give him such a contract?
Do you remember how much he got paid? What the contract was? I think it was 80 something.
If even if it was 30 something, I don't see it.
Whoa.
What has he done
Um,
to warrant a bigger contract? I mean, let's say
okay.
let's say it was 60 million, right?
That's
What
what
is
it was. That's exactly what it was.
what has he done to warrant that?
So 15 a year.
What has he done to warrant that?
I honestly think that they were banking on his ceiling more so than what he had done. Um, I'd be curious to see because you gotta understand that these scales are going up, and
Definitely going up. But and my point is this, right? There are some people who don't get an extension because of their play, let alone a raise. Right? There's some people that just play out to their contract and be like, okay, what are we going to do with this person? This was not a thought with Stewart. It was like, okay, we're going to give you 60 million. For how many years was it, Foster?
4 years, and it starts. I want to say it starts this year because I think he had a year left on his deal.
Well, first off, let me say this too as well. I like his grittiness.
Yeah.
He has the mentality of an enforcer.
He punched
Right?
somebody this year. No, let's not forget that.
No, that falls under the enforcer category.
Yeah,
Work.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Important though. Important
Okay.
though. We need it.
But it's important. You need that tough player on your team. You need that person that's not going to back down, that's going to stand up and fight and throw down when they need to. Not literally. I'm just talking about in the trenches, right? As far as the basketball, you need that gutsy person with the heart. But as far as fit on the team, he's he's a power forward in a small forward body that can't give you much from a small forward perspective, right?
That's true.
That's the only thing I got a problem with. Shooting 38% from three, marvelous for me, right? With at a high volume of threes from a piss poor team that's shooting threes, I commend you for that, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we are in serious trouble from the jump, and that has nothing to do with Stewart. But you are in serious trouble if that's your leading three-point shooter. If you go into the season saying Isaiah Stewart would lead your team in three-point percentage when you have Cade, Ivy, and and Bogey, because he was, I'm talking about
Yeah.
before the season. If you saying Stewart is going to lead you in threes, you're in trouble.
Well, I don't. Will you what as far as field goal 3 point percent?
Percentage wise, yes.
I think Bogey probably had. I think Bogey was around 42 on higher volume as well. So you got to take that into
Yeah.
consideration.
I mean, but
Higher
if
volume.
let's say if he with Bogey on your team going into the season, Bogey on your team, if you tell me Stewart is going to be your second or third highest field field goal percentage from three, when you have Cade, when you have Ivy, when you have Bogey, if he's going to be number three, and at that time I didn't expect anything out of Killian, but you did have Burke. You did have Burke. If you out of all those people and he's number three, you're doomed. But you do need that enforcer, and I mean it's not my money. $15 million a year in NBA standards, it's not a crazy amount of money. It's a nice amount of money. But at the same time, what is the plan going forward? Because it's like he's a piece that doesn't fit, but he does contribute. It's kind of crazy.
He fits. I think he fits, but just not as a starter.
Yeah,
So
I honestly think he could be that energizer off the bench, maybe, but at the same time, you keep saying the things that I'm thinking. He's not your typical starting power forward. He probably wouldn't start on any other team in the NBA at power forward.
oh, any other? Uh,
I
nah, yeah, probably not. Probably not.
say one. I guarantee you they got a power forward that's better.
Uh, I'm thinking the worst players. Would he start
Maybe
the
San Antonio.
Wizards?
Look at the
San
power.
Antonio, I think he could start. I
Look
think
at the
on the
power forwards on the Wizards.
I will Kuzma, I think, plays the four technically, but he's really a small forward. He's really not.
Okay, but even if he plays forward, would you start Kuzma or would you start Stewart?
Definitely not. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't start him over Kuzma. No,
I mean, I'm just saying, it's like that's one of those
that's
positions
true.
where that's one of those positions in the NBA where there are fours. It's a lot of good fours on the teams
Yeah,
out
there's a lot of really good forwards. But Paulo Banchero and
there.
KD plays the four.
Think about it. I mean, San Antonio was the only team that came to mind where he might have a shot at being a starter there at the
Yeah.
four.
No, that's fair. And he's kind of a old school, like it was imperative that he learn how to shoot threes. I mean, that he improve his 3-point percentage because he's other than that, he's an old school center pretty much, but at 6'8". So, but
Who's the next player, man?
next, let's move on.
Yeah.
The next player is Asar Thompson. He was
Hey, man,
drafted in.
I'm gonna let me jump right here. I
Yeah,
like
get right in on this one.
I like the young guy. I do. I like his potential. His production didn't match where I needed it to be, but I like he's not he's a dog. He's not scared, right? And I think he was starting to learn and starting to get in a bit of a groove and thinking, get to the basket, get to the basket. You know what I'm saying? He was on his way and playing great defense. And so I think in time he'll be okay. I think in time he'll be okay, but he's not where we needed him to be from the fifth pick. No, he just wasn't there. But I have a lot of confidence in this guy. I like his his attitude towards playing. He's a young player and he gives effort every time. Now, very dismal shooting the ball from the outside. It's just not a good choice for him to shoot. But he never shied away from it. But that's what I like. You know, you'd hurt my team more by not shooting than missing. You know what I'm saying? I need you to, if you're open, I need you to shoot it. Whether you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. You passing the ball when you're wide open hurts my team more than you missing the shot.
Yeah.
You have to be some kind of a threat. So I do like his approach. I do like his athleticism. I do like that he's young and out there and he's hustling. So, but just the production just doesn't match where I needed it to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think going into the year, we knew that his defense was going to be ahead of his offense, and he out the gate, he was really impactful in the defensive end. It's slowed down a little bit, but yeah, he shot 18% from three. That's got to get like way better. Yeah, he was a plus rebounder. He averaged over 6 rebounds a game, which was good. I like that. And he was kind of probably one of the lone athletic defenders that we really had. Yeah, we really didn't have a whole lot of guys that that could block shots and get in the passing lane. So he was good in that regards. But yeah, he's definitely, I think in his exit interview with the Pistons, he definitely talked about working on his shot. And that's yeah. If there's two things that he's got to work on, it's ball handling, taking care of the rock, and working on that shot. Everything else, he had definitely showed flashes of greatness as far as getting to the rack and playing good defense. They were calling him, the worm out there. So I think he's another guy that's untouchable for at least another year that they want to build upon because he does have a high ceiling with just his physical attributes. So yeah, his season ended abruptly with a blood clot condition, but he didn't give us the impression that that was something that was going to be, career altering or anything like that. So I hope he, gets some work in summer league and, some of those summer runs and stuff like that. But you know, all in all, a decent rookie year considering we knew he was a somewhat of a project.
Well, one thing I will say about the turnovers that he's not the only one to turn the ball a lot.
No, no.
Uh, who we got next, Foster?
All right, so we got Marcus Sasser. I don't have a whole lot to say about Marcus Sasser.
I got a little bit to say, but not a whole lot as well.
Yeah, so he was. We traded up to get him in the first round. To get him in the late first round, and he showed flashes. He was kind of that spark off the bench scorer, not much of a playmaker. He would admittedly tell you that, but he was somewhat of a finished product. He was a senior. He was drafted after his senior year. So not a guy that you're like, oh, well, he's going to improve in this way, or he's got potential to do this and that. Like kind of a finished product. He's already I think he was older than Killian, Cade, a lot of these young guys. So, but shot well from the outside. He shot 37% from three. And yeah, he shot well from the outside. He had a couple games where he had 20 plus points. Even early in the year, I think he scored like 20 plus points against Philly. So when he was on and he was confident and that step back was on point, he was dangerous from the outside. And like I said, he was one of the few guys that shot well consistently. But I don't know how much where, he's only he's like 6'1", 6'2", 190 pounds. So, a liability defensively. And, he's not a guy that if we needed another, trade piece to get a better player, I'm not mad at the Pistons parting ways with him, despite the fact that I don't hate him as a player. But he's only got so much further he can go at 20. I think he's 22, 23 years old. So, decent guy off the bench, not going to create a lot for anybody else besides himself, but solid rookie season.
Sasser. I have a lot of positives. I think he was a bright spot on the team, considering he being a rookie. I'm a person that I don't like fear, and that's what Killian Hayes gave me: fear, like scared to shoot, timid, indecisive. At times. He was little bit better as far as being scared this year while he was here, but his rookie season, you can tell he was not confident in his shot. He was scared to shoot, and the same for his second year and so on. So with Sasser, he was a person that played without fear, and I think this offseason can be very, very pivotal for him in his development. I think he needs a clear, defined role on the team, whether it's a starter or whether you said, hey, you're my person that's coming off the bench. I think that would suit him a lot if he knows his role and have a clear, defined role. Because, back in the day, they used to have your sixth man. Your sixth man they knew who was the first person off the bench, no matter what, unless somebody was in foul trouble. Like if you had a big man that had 3 quick fouls, you know what I'm saying? And you had to, and your sixth man was your point guard, you know what I'm saying? That, that kind of erased that. But there was always that one person that came off the bench first, no matter what, and the crowd would go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That would be your sixth man. And I think he would fit well into that role unless he can elevate and be your starting point guard. I don't see that happening with the roster, with the way that they're doing things, but I think he could be a very, very integral part of this team if he continues to improve and be that sixth man, that first guard off the bench that's going to run your offense and hit some shots and, you know what I'm saying, and keep everything going while you rest a Cade or while you rest an Ivy or Thompson. He'll be that person that comes in and spells them and you don't lose much. So
Yeah, I mean, I can see him being that role that Burks was on, because a
Mhm.
lot of times Burks was ahead of him in the pecking order. Um, I just don't know that if we're a better team, I don't think if we're a better team, I don't I would like to think that there's better options unless he just gets way better. For whatever reason, I feel like his height. I don't know. I feel like
Too
if he
little.
was, yeah, if he was like six, if he was like, because Burke was what 6'6". He was
Yeah.
kind of tall, 6'5". I feel like if he was that height, I feel like if he had the if Killian had the mentality that Sasser did,
Right.
we really have something. Because
Right.
Killian was 6'5" and he was big,
Mm.
but um yeah, I'm not mad if Sasser comes back next year. I don't want him being the primary playmaker off
No.
the bench. I want him as a guy that can that's the scorer, like the Mo Williams and Kemba Walker, like in that mode.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's all about putting guys in the best position to do their job well, and yeah. So we got three more guys. We may have to I don't we may have to push some things to the next to another show, but Mr. James Wiseman. Um, yes, yes,
Mm.
yes. Um, you wanna set it off, or you want me to just get it?
I've seen more head scratching things than positive things from Mr. Wiseman. Um, do I want to give up on him? No. But I'm starting to think it is what it is with him. Um, didn't crack the lineup with Golden State, didn't play much. Got the opportunity here, and I don't feel he took advantage of it like he should have. I don't know whether it's an inability to do so or just effort. I'm not sure. Not sure. But he made some plays that made me think he could do a lot more of this more often. And I don't know what it is, but far too many times I'm like, this guy is not it. Just watching him playing. I mean, I hate to say it, but watching him play, I found myself saying, no wonder Golden State was like, okay, let's do something with this guy. Because he could be an integral part. He could actually help them right now. He could be an integral part of their success right now. You have a 7-foot guy that can run the floor and block shots and score around the basket a little bit. Somebody you can throw lobs to, this, that, and other. But he just couldn't show them that he belonged there. And I'm starting to see that. I wish him well. I want him to succeed. I want him to succeed, whether it's here or somewhere else. Just don't see it.
Yeah. So as far as contractually, he's a free agent this year. Um, I he has a qualifying he had a potential qualifying offer of like $14 million, given his draft where he was drafted. But I saw something online that said that given the amount of minutes he played and his production, his qualifying offer was at $7.7 million, which is a little bit more of a you know reasonable price, for a backup center. But he showed flashes of brilliance last year. He had some. I think one of the last games of the year. Obviously, not very important game. Probably I don't know who he's playing. I think he had like 20 plus points. But overall, he tied for his career low in points with 6.9 points. Still not a very good rim protector. He only had zero point 0.6 blocks. At a genuine 6'11", 7 foot, which is kind of not good. I can see a world where we bring him back on a reasonable deal. We know how much Weaver loves big men. No diddy, but uh, but yeah, he left a lot to desire on both ends of the floor. But you really like what the potential. He just turned 23 years old. He turned 23 on March 31st, so he's a brand new, fresh 23-year-old. So still young, and I don't know. I don't think he has any trades. Well, you can't trade him because he's already a free agent anyways. But he's a restricted free agent, so we can match any offer. I believe he's a restricted free agent. So I don't know. You would hate to see him go somewhere, especially after trading Sadiq Bey. Everybody has their thoughts on whether or not that was a bad deal to trade, Sadiq Bey, even though he had a pretty bad year and ended up tearing his knee up towards the end of the year. So I don't know. I think we still broke about even. Well, I don't know about breaking even because Sadiq was okay. He was decent. He dropped 50 for us. Wiseman never dropped 30. So I don't know. Tough to say, but yeah, it's I really don't know what what direction they're gonna go in with him, but I can see a world where he returns, but on a much more affordable deal. I can also see a world where somebody takes a chance on him and says, you know what, I think I can make him into a star, and we don't bring him back. I'm not one way or another. It is what it is with him.
Yeah. Next.
So one of my favorite guys on this list was Simone Fontecchio. We're getting towards the end of the list, but I was thoroughly impressed with Simone Fontecchio. He had by far his best year this year. He was a consistent outside shooter. He shot 42% from three and 48% from the field. Beautiful. I think that I think he hit the ground running the minute he got traded here. Constant 15 points a game, for the most part off the bench. We started him enough games to boost his qualifying offer to whatever it was. I think 12, 13 million, which was kind of intentional in a sense because we could have pushed his number down and just kept him off the bench before we ended up shutting him down, because I think he missed the last 10 games, which I think was precautionary. I don't think he was really that hurt.
Right.
But I think we all but decided that we're going to bring him back on whatever number. We have the right to match any offer. I think we're going to bring him back at any cost, because if there's one thing, like I said, 42% from three, 48 from the field. He shot efficiently, and he showed us a lot more defensively than I think we expected out of him. So, foregone conclusion, we're bringing him back, and I think we plan on building around his ability to shoot from the outside. He's pretty much a younger bogey with more athletic ability, more defensive ability. So he's one of the guys that I would be shocked if he didn't come back next year, because he's still young. I think he's like 28. I think he's like 28 years old. Oh, geez. 28, yes, 28, and does not say his birthday. Y'all killing me. December. He won't be 29 until December. So, yeah, I don't have enough nice things to say about Fontecchio. One of the trades that we had that actually can say we hit on.
Yeah, I like Fontecchio. I like what he brought to the table. I think the Pistons were playing him at the four, and I didn't think it would work, but he held up pretty good defensively. He was not shy about taking his shots.
No, he was
Uh,
not.
he was, if he was open, he's knocking it down. Going to the basket, he was surprisingly willing to go to the basket as well, not just settling for the outside shot. So I have a lot of faith, and I would be heartbroken if he's not brought back. He was one of the bright spots uh, that was brought here near the after the second half of the season, and I think he can do very well here and thrive. There's plenty of opportunity here, and I think we just need to see more of him on the basketball court. Foster, we're gonna take another quick break, and we'll come back, and we'll finish up our last players, and we'll see what else we got on the, what else we got left on the show. For those that's listening, you'll hear, a few ads, and for those that are watching, we'll be back in about 6 seconds. So who's the is this the last one? Was this the last player?
One more person.
I'm
Um,
trying to figure out who it is, but go ahead.
you probably wouldn't guess him because he didn't play for us very much. He
I think
was,
I know who you're talking about, but go ahead.
yeah, he was. So he was part of he was a part of
Mhm,
the New York Knicks trade.
mhm.
Quentin Grimes, actually. Yeah, so
Yes,
you might have thought Fournier, but
yes, I have
he's
a
not
lot
in
to
the
say
list.
about that guy, but go ahead.
Okay. So not much to say about him as far as, I follow the Knicks pretty tough. So there's more so I can say from that performance there than I can say with the Pistons. I don't think he played more than a couple of games. I was excited about seeing him play because he is a guy that defends well. Um, he was considered to be deemed to be an outside shooter, and he was the former teammate of Marcus Sasser. So I was excited to see what that dynamic was. His biggest issue being injuries, and I don't know, just he didn't shoot the ball consistently, even though his archetype is the 3 and D, lacking on the three portion of things, um, serviceable on the defensive end. Um, as far as moving forward, he's another guy that if for some odd reason a team was interested in him as a project, whatever potential guy, I don't see the Pistons, holding on to him. But we do have one more full year on his contract, and then he would be a restricted free agent. So, you know, he will get another opportunity next year to, live up to, some of the expectations that he had. He was a first round pick by the New York Knicks a couple of years ago. And, I still would love to see the dynamic of him and Sasser playing alongside each other, and him being another perimeter defender, because we struggled, that those were the two things that we struggled with the most, was our defense and outside shooting. So, yeah, not too much that we can really say about him. He was not very good in the few games that we did watch with him, but not enough of a sample size to really decide on whether or not he's worthwhile. So he is the last player that we are.
Wait,
Oh yeah,
hold
go again.
on.
You didn't get a chance. You didn't get a chance. Go, my bad. Go ahead.
I just wanna say, very disappointed, uh, not enough sample size for me to really go about his play. He
Right.
didn't play often. Uh, I didn't see anything that made me say, "Okay, let's hang on to this player and he'll be good for us next year." I just didn't see it. Um, I don't know, man. I mean, I had maybe my expectations were too high because he was one of those untouchable players for a long time for the Knicks. They wouldn't trade him for anything. So that tells me they saw something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking the Pistons right now is a place for anybody that wants to have something to prove, especially this past season. If you had something to prove, there was plenty of opportunity here with the way this roster was playing. So I just thought I'd see more. I didn't see anything. Even when he got here, it took him a few days to play.
Yeah, he was
Played,
hurt. He was hurt when we got here.
played a couple of games, and I didn't see much. And then he missed a bunch of more games. So that's all I have to say about that, bro.
All right. Um. So yeah, where do you want to? We got
With
obviously.
that being said, Foster, we broke
Yes.
down the players, this, that, and other, and we tried to do this last year, and we were very unsuccessful.
Okay.
What does this team need to be competitive for the 2024-2025 season?
Honestly, the top of my list is a veteran floor general that can take care of the ball.
That would be wonderful. Proceed.
I would have loved for Monte Morris to be that guy, because that is literally what he embodies. But I think he only played a couple, 4 or 5 games for us, so we never really got to see that. We never got to see that through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, turnovers. We talked about that too. Till we were blue in the face. So, yeah, that sounds crazy. But yeah, so I think that's number one on our list of things that we need. I think that we definitely need a rim protector. That person does not exist. Stewart, not a rim protector. Wiseman, not a rim protector. Dern, not a rim protector. The closest we got to that is Asar Thompson, and that's just not something that you want your 6'6", 190-pound forward to be handling. So definitely a rim protector. And lastly, a starting power forward that can shoot from the outside. Yeah, that person does not exist. We got some fours that can. I mean, you got Fontecchio now. You had Bogey before, but they're not true fours. And with Duran not being a good rim protector, you need that out of your power forward. So that has to be addressed in the draft, in free agency. It's just a necessity. So that's the main thing for me. It's just a floor general, rim protector, and a starting caliber four that can shoot from the outside.
Okay, well, we're just gonna. I agree with everything you said, so I really don't have too much to add. But I do have a question.
What's up?
There are some free agents, and I have a list of them. Who would you like to see in a Pistons uniform? I believe we have 60 million to spend.
Most in the NBA.
Most in the NBA. You have. I'm gonna throw some names out there.
Okay.
We wanted this guy to be here last year. Miles Bridges.
Yes.
Lonnie Walker. Xavier Tillman. Drummond spinning the block. Patrick Williams. He's a restricted free agent. Derek Jones. Siakam. Obi Toppin is restricted. Dinwiddie. Beasley. And you do have Tobias Harris, DeAnthony Melton, Kelly Oubre Jr., Mo Bamba, Bobo, Royce O'Neal, Monk, McGee, Gary Trent. I know that's a long list, but you have the list as well.
Yes.
I don't want y'all to think Foster's going to remember all of this. His list. He's not that good. He's pretty good, but he's not that good. Who would you like to see in a Pistons uniform?
If I had to do a top five, if I had to do a top five,
do a top three because you're only going to get like 2 or 3 out of these. Free agent wise, you're only going to get 2 or 3.
Okay, if I had a top three, I would say Pascal Siakam.
That would be nice.
Yeah, and I feel like for the fact that the Pacers, it may depend on how their playoffs, because they got smoke without Giannis didn't even play, and they got smoke.
Giannis didn't even play.
I would assume that since they traded for Siakam, I would assume that they're planning on signing him, and that's the idea. But Siakam covers a lot of bases as far as him being he will be a starting four. He would have good gravity around Cade. He can play alongside Duren because he can shoot from the outside. So yeah, I think that puts us in a much better situation if we get a guy like Pascal Siakam. But I'm not holding my breath on that one. Miles Bridges, hometown guy. He's gonna
Mhm.
fill up. He's gonna fill up the bucket. He's gonna score 20 points a game. He's not really a rim stopper, and he's not a great outside shooter. But like I said, he's going to bring us that star power. He's going to give us that athleticism. He's going to put butts in seats. So yeah, I like him as a top guy to go after. Outside of that, there wasn't, when we talk about floor generals, guys that take care of the ball. Is there anybody else outside of him? Well, I'm gonna give you four. I know you said three, but Malik Monk had a great year. He could possibly be a sixth man of the year. I'm not sure if I'm willing to make him a starter in Detroit, but I think that he would provide another guy that would be exciting. Actually, he played with Miles Bridges in Charlotte, but another exciting guy that would, fill up, score a lot of points off the bench and bring some excitement, some fast pace to the team. And I know he's played his last few years in Sacramento and played alongside his teammate in Kentucky, his ex-teammate in Kentucky. But I think he's ready to get paid. And I think that, hey, if we want to, make a splash in free agency, I would not be mad at us going after him off the bench, though. I don't know if I want to make him I don't think that he's starting caliber. I don't think he's ever started consistently.
Okay.
But lastly, Dinwiddie. We obviously drafted him. He did have a shaky year last year. He's kind of bounced around a lot. He played for Dallas. He played for Washington. That's where the rivalry with Kuzma started. He most recently played for Brooklyn. Didn't have a great year, but
he's on the Lakers now.
He is on the Lakers. You're right. He is on the Lakers. I forgot about that. And I don't know. He hasn't really made a whole lot of noise. But so yeah, he's been all over the place because we sent him to where did we send him originally? Milwaukee, or that's where Middleton went. I don't even know where he went. But anyways, he is a veteran point guard. I'm not sure what his efficiency as far as turnover to assist ratio, but I wouldn't be, if we can't go and get our first option, I'm not terribly upset at Spencer Dinwiddie. He is a 6'6" point guard. And who doesn't like a tall point guard? And once again, not necessarily at a starting role because he wasn't very efficient scoring wise, but sometimes you got to spin the block and see what you got there. So there's some other guys that we kind of mentioned that we kind of mentioned out there, but those are my top. That's my top four as far as free agents. We got some money to spend. Worst case scenario, you overspend a little bit to get somebody in the door, so that we're not looking at another 15 win season. Like, come on, we got to spend the money eventually. Our young guys have now been around for a while. K's been around. Ivy's been around. He's going into his third year. It's kind of hard to believe that Ivy is now going into his third year. Durant's going into his third year. So it's time. The draft is not great. We're not going to get a first day starter out of the draft unless we get a select number of guys. So let's spend this money and see what we can do here, because I am tired of these years where we got half the G League squad playing at the end of the year. We need some productivity.
I got a 3 that I
Three?
like to see in a Pistons uniform with this money, right?
Okay.
Of course, Siakam. I don't care what they can put him at 2, 3, 4.
Center, small ball center.
Yeah, so I don't care. He's a starter if he gets here. I don't care. He's gonna start somewhere. This next one is going to probably surprise you.
Okay, I like that.
I like Obi Toppin.
Really?
I like the athleticism.
Yes.
He can shoot. He can go to the basket, and he's looking to prove himself. He hasn't had a chance to really show what he can do uh, with the teams he's been on, with the Knicks, and currently with he's with Indiana, right?
Yes. Yes.
So he hasn't been able to showcase though. That would be my top two.
Do you
And
want him to be a starter? I don't, not to cut your wisdom, but would you want him to come in and be a starter? Because when you say he hasn't got that opportunity, it's because he's pretty much come off the bench for the
I
most.
think he could start here if you bring him here.
Mm,
I think if you have Infantacchio at the 4, you can put Obi at the 3, and you can put Cade at the 2.
okay, and move Ivy and then put okay,
Whoever you're going to put at the 1.
right, whoever, yeah,
This
okay, okay,
this last one is going to surprise you.
okay.
Bring Drummond back home. Couple years.
This is not that doesn't really surprise me. Um, I do have some pushback on Toppin.
I
I'm keeping
understand.
it.
I understand that, and
Yeah,
it's when I thought of him, I said nobody's going to buy that, but young bounce,
crazy bounce. Yes, both.
athleticism. Uh, he gets on a streak. He's going to put seats and he's going to put the people in the seats. He's going to give you
Yes,
that highlight reel person that we don't really have. Um, I mean, he's just one of those pieces. Like I can understand the pushback, but with Drummond, I could see him playing the center and moving Duran to the 4.
really.
Yeah.
I don't like that fit at all.
Well, here's the thing: you don't have a person. He's not very good at playing defense and defending the post. So if you put him at 4, you have a double double. You have the high low threat. You have a person that's going. You're not going to get a rebound against his
Can he
team.
play high though?
Why not? I mean, he's been. You said last year he's working on his threes and working on his shot. Why not?
I don't like him shooting the 3. That's spooky.
You don't have to shoot the 3 and from the high low. I mean, I'm talking about his jump shot in particular, and he drives. They had him bringing up the ball, so that means he can. He goes to the basket.
Yes, yes. I give you that. I just don't like the fit because they both want to be. They're both dunk spot scorers primarily. He
Yeah,
hasn't developed in that
pretty
experience.
much. But I would like. I would try that lineup, and if not, even if you don't keep that lineup, you do have your backup and your starter at 5. You just can't lose with both of them there.
Yeah, yeah. I like Drummond off the bench.
And you don't have to.
Um,
You don't have to really even start them both. They can play together in spurts if need to
right.
be. So
Yeah, my only pushback on Toppin is the fact that he wouldn't defend the rim any better than like despite the fact that he's one of those guys that can jump really high, but he doesn't defend very well. Like I would love him off the bench because he can shoot and he's athletic and he can run. But you got a third one?
I had 3. I picked 3. Siakam,
Oh yeah,
Drummond.
Siakam. You said Siakam first, yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Um, anything left on the agenda? You cover everything.
I mean, we could go on, but we're at an hour and
Yeah, we're at an hour. Yeah.
so I think we can save some of this for next week.
Mm-hmm.
For those that are listening, please subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube, subscribe to Motor City Metrics, and check us out for your audio feed on all podcast streaming platforms. All you have to do is type in Post Game Podcast in the search, Post Game Podcast FFSN in your search, and check us out. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, excuse me, iHeartRadio, all of those audio, any place that plays podcasts from an audio standpoint, you can find us there. And like I said, subscribe to those YouTube channels. We have got the I know this is Pistons, but the Lions have a draft coming up Thursday. That's huge. And it's here in Detroit. Here in Detroit. I'm waiting to see now. Me and Foster are really going to dig deep into this NBA draft. We're going to look at these lottery picks. We are going to get a lottery pick. Where we pick, we don't know yet. And as we get closer, there's a lot of people talking about different kind of prospects. If you go to Bleachers and Speakers on YouTube, Foster has already started talking about them. Their player profiles where Foster has done research and talked about these players and how they might fit in a Pistons uniform. So go check those out. Those are pretty dope. And we'll be going over this all summer until the draft. Not all summer, but until the draft, we'll be talking about player profiles and this, that, and other. I think we need to do another Pistons show. We're going to keep doing Pistons shows, but next show, we should talk about the prospects. We're going to pick out a few prospects that we think fit the mold here. Well, that'll be next show's topic, the prospects that could help, because we're definitely getting a draft pick, a lottery pick at that. But the thing that scares me the most about that is we don't need to get any younger.
I need some free agents, man. Need to
well,
some people in here.
Put it like this. You drafted Sasser last year, rookie, and he's older than your backcourt.
Yeah, IVN, yeah, for sure.
So he's older than your center. It's crazy.
Old man out there.
Yeah. 4 years of college, and he's get drafted, and he's older than half your starters.
Thompson, a lot of that. Most of the team.
So till then, we'll want you to continue to check us out. You can check out Bleachers and Speakers on Motor City Metrics. We still talk Lions. We'll be talking about the draft either Thursday night or Friday. Whoever Detroit Lions pick, and we'll have a big show on that. I'm thinking more so maybe Thursday, quick show, maybe Foster, depending upon. It doesn't have to be an hour long, but we can do a quick show on Thursday to talk about the draft pick, and then we'll have a jam-packed show on Friday talking about all the picks. We can do that. But until then, I appreciate y'all for stopping by. We appreciate y'all listening. Don't give up on us. We're not going to give up on the Pistons. Rough season, but we stood tall most of the season. We were here just about every week. We'll continue doing these Pistons shows because, like I said, at 14-68, it can't get any worse. But even though we said that last year, we won 17 games and it got worse. But I just ruined that. I think I'll end now.